Silver Palace is an upcoming open-world action RPG game that follows the detective, the sharp and driven main character, around the Victorian-inspired city of Silvernia as they solve criminal cases that run much deeper than what the surface shows. I had the fantastic opportunity to play in the second closed beta test, and I'll just say, so far it took me by surprise, and the game has definitely piqued my interest. Thank you so much to Silver Palace for sponsoring this video. Everything I say here will be completely my own opinion, so let's dive into my honest first impressions of the gameplay experience. We start the game off by choosing between the male or female MC known as the detective. This will be me. I will be basic and just call myself Jinju. Oh, we do have to name both of them. What should I name my bro? I'll just name him Bro.
The siblings work together like a well-oiled machine.
Jinju and Bro work together. Right off the bat, I was struck by how high quality the cutscenes and environmental graphics are in the game. The cutscenes feel so animated and immersive, and the lighting and set design are absolutely gorgeous as well. Of course, the intro to any game is rarely an easygoing intro, because Bro and I are thrust into a pretty insane boss battle as the queen's safety is endangered. Oh. Hello? Oh my god, who is this giant woman? Oh my god, are we fighting?
I'll take care of this.
Oh my god, she is so cool. My first impression of the combat was that it felt fluid and focused, especially with the camera angle. There are quite a few combat mechanics with a sophisticated level of complexity if you are a combat-inclined player. I'll talk about the combat more in a bit. One time jump later, the detective returns to Silvernia after a 3-year hiatus post-queenly boss battle, and, spoiler alert, skip to this timestamp if you don't want to hear about what happened in the introduction. Okay, I'm gonna say it now. Bro's untimely tragedy. Of course, we are on the hunt to find our sibling's killer, but we're also back in the city at the request of Chief Inspector Lauren, our old colleague, who wants our help on a case of unsolved murders in the city. We meet some more characters as well, including Ashley, our trusty assistant who can definitely read. Assess her literacy.
I need an assistant who can read and write. Can you do that?
Rest assured, Detective, I'm lettered. In fact, I've even penned for others as well.
Alf, the newly hired caretaker slash maid of our home, who is just now learning how to read. Red Rose, a mysterious woman who I am infinitely intrigued by.
But my favorite name is the Red Rose.
Furtho, the clinic doctor who seems to have the local gang quivering at the mere mention of her name, as well as Rex, the superintendent from the Navy, who we are actively trying to avoid getting into conflict with, among several others. So far, I think all the characters are very lively and unique individuals, and I am interested in learning more about their stories and seeing how they tie into the main plot overall. A fun thing you can do with the characters is the companion feature, where you can level up their trust by giving them gifts as well as hanging out with them in the city. Oh my god, the train! Almost got ran over there. The city of Silvernia is a breathtaking place with so much detail and life and plenty of exploring to do. You can hop between buildings using grappling hooks, solve a variety of puzzles, open treasure chests, and fight bad guys on the streets. Oh, but we're gonna fight some bad guys. It's kind of cool that we just run into, I guess these are contaminated enemies. So of course we do have to clear out. And I think another thing that makes exploration in Silver Palace feel different from other open world exploration games is that we're truly exploring all the nooks and crannies of a very well developed, modern in the sense of this own game's setting. We're really exploring like everything the city has to offer. In other games, I feel like sometimes the city is a bit of a smaller area and then you explore more of the outer wilderness. So I feel like that just makes it feel so fresh and really hones in on that I'm a detective in this city kind of feeling. I'd argue that my favorite aspect of exploring is the Pegasus mount that you get very early on in the game. You can gallop through the city at high speeds and it even has drift mechanics, which is actually the best thing ever. This is what I was so excited about. Okay guys, this is just horse drifting gameplay for the next 20 minutes. Of course, with it being a Pegasus, you can also fly high into the sky and glide above the rooftops. If you wanted to take your horse drifting to the next level though, there is literally a horse racing minigame, which I think is hilarious, but kind of an awesome side addition to the game. As a seasoned detective, of course, we're not just drifting horses the entire time. We do plenty of actual detective work, like observing and inspecting our surroundings and the people we meet, as well as finding clues in crime scenes and putting together the evidence in order to find a break in the case. I personally really enjoyed this aspect of the game because it felt extremely in character and immersive. I grew up watching lots of those homicide detective crime shows on TV, so being able to play as a detective myself was genuinely quite interesting. Of course, if you're not so much of a mystery inclined person yourself, don't worry because it's not all that difficult to piece the clues together. It's more of a story game rather than a mystery game after all, so you'll definitely figure out what's up. But I will say that the story is probably my favorite part of the game so far. The mystery is just really fun to get into, and there's just enough world building and lore to build intrigue, but not so much that it's overly confusing or hard to digest for players who might prefer the more actiony stuff rather than the quests. Regarding the combat, I do want to make a disclaimer and say that I'm not the most adept fighter in games, so perhaps I can't give you a super complex breakdown, but for an average player like me, I felt that it wasn't overly difficult yet still posed enough of a challenge that I had to lock in. I'll use her ult. Of course, there are the basics like the normal attacks, skill, and ultimate, but there's also parrying, dodging, and stun mechanics that you can certainly build complex combos around. Oh my god, he's beating me up, dude. I also thought that the combat approaches were actually really useful tutorials to guide new players through a character's mechanics. One thing I'll note about the combat though is that even though I did enjoy it overall, I think it could be optimized a little more to be more satisfying of an experience, especially in terms of the immediate feedback you receive from parrying and dodging, and I felt like it overall could have been a bit snappier, I guess, to also aid in that combat satisfaction that everyone loves. I hope that makes sense. I briefly showed you guys the city affairs earlier with the horse racing, and there are some other mini games here, including the coffee house, in which you basically become a part-time barista. I would say it's a fairly minor thing in the game, but still just a cozy side thing to do if you wanted some extra rewards. There's also the property system, which is essentially some sort of management game where you can acquire properties in the city and have them build revenue over time. You can use the revenue in the shop to purchase useful materials for your characters. So again, just a fun little extra feature in the game to really get into the city affairs, as it's aptly named, and add more color into your life in Silvernia. So for my final thoughts, I genuinely really enjoyed the game so far, and although I've yet to complete all the content in the beta, I'm definitely looking forward to playing it more, especially on its release. I found that the story and voice acting were incredibly immersive, and that, along with the open world city, were my favorite parts. One last thing, even though I found the graphics and animations to be super high quality, I do have a very beefy PC that is usually a bit overkill for most games, so I know that my experience might not match others to the T. I do hope that this game can be further optimized to run smoothly on more mid to low level PCs, as well as other platforms like mobile or console, so that a wider audience can enjoy the game as much as I did. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the game, and if you're interested in checking it out, click the link in my description to pre-register for Silver Palace, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video for more chill gameplay content. Thank you once again to Silver Palace for sponsoring this video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.